Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the world of unsaturated hydrocarbons. Specifically, we're tackling alkenes, those molecules defined by the powerful carbon-to-carbon double bond. If you've ever looked at a complex chemical name and felt like you were reading a different language, don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll be naming these like a pro using the official IUPAC rules. Let's understand Rule 1. Identifying the parent chain. This is the golden rule of organic chemistry: always start by finding the longest carbon chain. But when it comes to alkenes, there's an important twist. The parent chain must include the carbon-carbon double bond, even if it's not the absolute longest chain in the molecule. Now, why is this important? Because the double bond defines the main functional group, and that takes priority in naming. Let's look at the example shown. On the left side, we have a 6-carbon chain. It is longer, but it does not include any double bond. So, this is not the correct parent chain. If we used this, the compound would be named as an alkane, like hexane, which is incorrect. On the right side, we have a 5-carbon chain. It is slightly shorter, but it includes the double bond. This makes it the correct parent chain. Because of the double bond, the suffix changes from -an to -ene. So instead of an alkane name, we now use an alkene name, such as pent-2-ene. So remember, always choose the chain that includes the double bond even if it's shorter. That's the key idea behind Rule 1. Now let's understand Rule 2, numbering the chain. First, the direction. Always start numbering the carbon chain from the end that is closest to the double bond. This ensures the double bond gets the lowest possible number. Next, the address. The position of the double bond is identified by the number of the first carbon involved in that double bond. Let's look at the examples. In the first structure, we have a 4-carbon chain. If we start numbering from the left, the double bond begins between carbon 1 and carbon 2. So, the name becomes but 1-ene because the double bond starts at carbon 1. In the second structure, if we number from the opposite end, the double bond lies between carbon 2 and carbon 3. Here, the double bond starts at carbon 2, so the compound is named but 2-ene. So remember, always number from the end nearest to the double bond, and use the number of the first carbon in the double bond to name the compound. Now let's move to Rule 3, substituents and alphabetization. Once we have identified and numbered the parent chain, the next step is to focus on the groups attached to that chain. These are called substituents. Step 1. Identify and name the substituents. Common substituents include methyl, ethyl, chloro, and others. In this example, we can clearly see a methyl group, which is a carbon trihydride group attached to the main chain. Step 2. Assign a position number. We already numbered the parent chain earlier, starting from the end closest to the double bond. Now, using that numbering, we locate where the substituent is attached. Here, the methyl group is attached to carbon number 4. So, its position is 4. Step 3. Alphabetize the substituents. If there are multiple substituents, we list them in alphabetical order at the beginning of the compound name. In this case, we have only one substituent, methyl, so alphabetization is simple. Now let's combine everything to build the final name. We start with the substituent and its position, 4-methyl. Next, we take the parent chain name, which has 5 carbons, so it is pent. Then we include the position of the double bond, which is at carbon 2, giving us 2-ene. Putting it all together, the final name is 4-methylpent-2-ene. So remember, identify the substituents, assign their positions, and list them alphabetically before the parent name. That's Rule 3: simple, structured, and essential for correct naming. Let's understand how to name organic compounds that contain multiple double bonds, a very important concept in IUPAC nomenclature. First, focus on the title, multiple double bonds. This tells us we are dealing with compounds that have more than one carbon-carbon double bond. Now, here's the key rule. Right finger: if a compound has 2 double bonds, we use the suffix -adiene. Right finger: if it has 3 double bonds, we use -atriene. This naming system comes from standard organic chemistry rules where multiple double bonds are indicated by prefixes like d and tri. Blank, underscore, blank. Next, look at the important note in the image. It says we keep the a from the alkane name. Why? Because it makes the name easier to pronounce. For example, a 4-carbon chain with 2 double bonds is called butadiene, not butadiene. That extra a improves clarity and pronunciation. Blank, underscore, blank. Now let's move to the first structure on the left. You can see a carbon chain with 2 double bonds. Step-by-step thinking. 1. Identify the longest chain. It has 4 carbons, but 2. Count the double bonds, there are 2, a diene. 3. Number the chain so double bonds get the lowest positions. So the final name becomes right finger butadiene. This matches the rule that compounds with 2 double bonds are called dienes. Blank, underscore, blank. Now look at the second structure on the right. Here, we have 3 double bonds. Again, follow the steps. 1. Longest chain right pointing arrow 5 carbons right pointing arrow, pent. 2. 3 double bonds right pointing arrow, a triene. 3. Numbering ensures lowest positions for double bonds. So the name becomes right finger pentatriene, blank, underscore, blank. Finally, notice the small note at the bottom. Right finger, the A stays to make it easier to say. This reinforces the pronunciation rule we discussed earlier. Now let's move to Rule 5, geometric isomerism, also known as cis-trans isomerism. This rule is all about understanding how the 3D arrangement of groups around a double bond affects the molecule. Blank, underscore, blank. First, look at the key idea. Right finger double bonds are rigid and cannot rotate. Unlike single bonds, which can freely rotate, a double bond is locked in place because of the presence of a pi bond. Breaking this rigidity would require a lot of energy, so rotation doesn't happen under normal conditions. Because of this, the position of groups around the double bond becomes fixed, and that's where geometric isomerism comes in. Blank, underscore, blank. Now, this leads to 2 possible arrangements. Right finger cis, right finger trans, blank, underscore, blank. Let's understand each one clearly. Blue circle cis isomer. In the cis form, similar groups are on the same side of the double bond. In the image, look at the left structure. Both carbon trihydride, methyl groups, are on the same side. That's why it is called cis but 2-ene. So remember, right finger cis equals same side, blank, underscore, blank, green circle trans isomer. In the trans form, similar groups are on opposite sides of the double bond. Now look at the right structure. The carbon trihydride groups are opposite each other. So this becomes trans but 2-ene. So remember, right finger trans equals opposite sides, blank, underscore, blank. This difference might look small, but it's very important. Even though both molecules have the same formula, their spatial arrangement is different. That's why they are called stereoisomers, same structure, different 3D orientation. Blank, underscore, blank. Another important takeaway, because the double bond cannot rotate, cis and trans forms cannot easily convert into each other. They are fixed configurations. Alright, let's wrap everything up with a quick summary and some powerful pro tips for naming alkenes. Think of this as your step-by-step workflow, a method you can follow every single time. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more pharmacy and chemistry tutorials. See you in the next video. Happy learning chemistry with Harshada.